Hello guys, welcome to milgemilge channel. Happy New Year's my friends. I wish you all a wonderful year filled with fun adventures, excitement and a lot of happiness and peace. What a year has been, right? Honestly, I was getting a little tired of last year. Well, it's just symbolic. The new year does represent a fresh start. Sure, we are still living the same lives, but sometimes a new beginning is all you need. Weirdly enough, I'm excited that it's January. I can finally step away from all the celebrations, frantic gift shopping and everything else to just focus on day-to-day life again. And what better way to start the new year than by finally creating a long-promised Home Alone house build. As you can see, it's a long video that took me forever to make, so buckle up, you'll hear a lot of yapping from me. I hope it doesn't get too tiring, but if you do get tired, feel free to turn off my sound and listen to your favorite tunes instead. It's all good, I sometimes get tired of listening to myself too. I really wanted to create a Home Alone house last Christmas, but I was back in Lithuania and it got way too busy. I didn't have the chance to sit, rest and focus on my creative work. I ended up postponing the project to this year because I was so obsessed with the idea that it had to be posted at Christmas. It was driving me crazy. This year I noticed I still didn't have enough time between college work and Christmas preparations, so I decided to let myself build freely without deadlines or obligations. I figured whenever I finish, I'll post it. And here we are, January 19, building a Christmas house. Who saw that coming? Certainly not me. But if it reduces my stress, so be it. Here, my New Year's resolution is to let my creativity flow freely. For Instagram, I used to stick to a strict schedule and focus on maintaining the perfect profile grid aesthetics, which are 3 posts aligned perfectly, a dollhouse, an exterior photo, and a floor plan. But I couldn't keep up with creating all 3 posts every week, so I would wait until the house was finished before posting the floor plan, which made me hesitant to share other things. I realized I was creating invisible obstacles for myself, making my life unnecessarily difficult. This year, I'm allowing myself to post anything I like. I hope I can still find an audience that enjoys what I share. Now about the movie. I hope you're all familiar with Home Alone. It's so iconic, it feels strange if someone doesn't know it. But in case you haven't seen it, Home Alone is a franchise with 6 movies. However, we are focusing on the first 2 from the 1990s and 1992. The story follows Kevin McAllister, an 8-year-old boy whose wish for his family to disappear comes true when they mistakenly leave him alone while heading to Paris for Christmas. Initially, Kevin enjoys the time alone, but his peace is disrupted when 2 burglars, Harry and Marl, target his house. Kevin outsmarts them with a series of clever and hilarious body traps. The film becomes a massive success and a holiday classic. What fascinates me the most is the size of Kevin's house and the number of family members running around at the start. Kevin's immediate family includes his 2 brothers, Jeff and Buzz, and his 2 sisters, Linny and Megan. And there's also his extended family, uncle and aunt, and their children. And oh my goodness, the size of that house. It took me ages to finish recreating it. I'm a 90s kid, so I was watching this movie basically every Christmas, and from a very early age, I have always wondered what do Kevin's parents do for a living to afford such a massive house and 5 kids. To me, it seems like not just a house, it's a proper manor, and it also looks like a Georgian manor as well. I have checked the dates, so it was built in 1920s. My theory is that it may be a generation house inherited from previous generations. They could have also bought it since price back then was way different than now, but still, I do love to hear your thoughts. If you have any hidden knowledge about it, please share in the comments. I'd love to have a chat and learn more about this wonderful house. According to housebeautiful.com, House from Home Alone is a real property in Illinois. Macaulay Culkin even joked about buying it when it went up for sale, saying, "I had half a mind to buy it just for giggles," and share plans to turn it into a movie funhouse during a screening in Illinois. Even though the house's interior look authentic, they weren't filmed inside the original property. Instead, the indoor scenes were shot on a 2-story set built in an abandoned high school, as revealed in the Netflix The Movies That Made Us. The real house was too small to accommodate the film crew, director Chris Columbus explained. For the scenes near the end of the film, when Kevin goes into the neighbor's house, the production filmed in the old school pool, which made the flooding the basement much easier. As you can see, we have yet another Mission Impossible, trying to match the original exterior with the school set interior. Classic film magic at its finest. Oh movies, you never make it easy for us simmers, aren't you? It makes sense why I had such a nightmare piecing everything together. I found several floor plans and watched countless Simmers videos on YouTube and the gallery. While many builds share a similar idea of the ground floor layout, the upper floor was a completely different story. Everyone interpreted it differently, so I created my own version like always. Let's start with the basement. The basement was so much fun to build. It feels like it has its own personality with all the clutter. The washing machine are down there along with that creepy fire machinery, whatever it is. I have no idea what is it called, but one thing certain, Kevin was terrified of it, and so was I as a kid. Naturally, I made it look reasonably scary, I think. Moving to the ground floor, there are a few living rooms. The main one has the iconic Christmas tree, a grand piano, and a fireplace. It's the ultimate Christmas dream. To this day, I still want my living room to look like that. I am actually really proud of this living room. I made it slightly bigger than it is in the movie, to be fair. I think I made the whole house bigger in general, but I still managed to fit everything in nicely. I am also so proud of the custom railway toy. It's one of the longest and most detailed thing I have ever created as a singular object. It definitely took me forever, but it was absolutely worth it. In fact, I think I'll upload it separately so you guys can add it to your kids' room as a nice decorative detail. The room next to it is a TV room, is where Kevin was eating his ice cream, watching movies he probably wasn't supposed to, and plotting how to outsmart the bad guys. I think the space was dedicated to relaxing activities like reading, watching TV, and gaming, as there is a chess table by the window. I just love how green this room is. In fact, I think they used the same shade of green as in the upstairs corridor. This house absolutely screams Christmas with all the reds and greens, but I think that if you remove the decorations, it would still work beautifully for any other season. There's also the beautiful and iconic staircase, which appears multiple times in the movie. I think I did a fairly good job recreating it, but as always, you have to keep in mind that it's very hard to get the exact swatches or furniture in the game. I tried my best, but you may find some parts that aren't entirely accurate. That's because I felt some options fit better with the space I was building. So, for example, the arches in the entryway foyer, in the film they are square-shaped, but when I built this entryway last Christmas, we didn't have the right size arches available yet, so I decided to stick with the round ones. And even after the update, I felt the round arches were cozier and more organic for this particular space than the square ones. Kitchen is probably my favorite space. I love the seating areas by the window. It's such a clever feature, especially for a big family. It allows people to sit and relax while others cook. I have never seen anything like it in other shows. I also love how spacious the kitchen is. It's filled with so much clutter that it feels truly lived in. There is a massive kitchen island in the center with multiple chairs and additional dining space. In the first scene, the family ordered a bunch of pizzas, so I added some pizza boxes on the table for that extra touch of realism. I also included drawings on the fridge and added as many clutter details as possible without making it too overwhelming. I wanted to make sure the Sims can actually cook and walk around. One thing I forgot to include in the stop-motion video is the TV in the kitchen, but I added it in the final shots and I'll make sure it's in the gallery as well. Overall, I'm really happy how this build turned out. It's so pretty, and honestly, I'm a little jealous of the McAllister's family for having such a beautiful house. That is the magic of the game. I get to experience all my childhood dreams of living in a different movie houses. When I think about it, through The Sims, I have lived in the charmed and practical magic manors, as well as Modern Family, Hocus Pocus, and Rose Hill Cottage too. There are even more recreations I have done, and I definitely encourage you to check them out. I have made an album called Inspired by Movies, and you can find all these recreations over there as well as on my gallery and Patreon account. Now, the second floor was my absolute nightmare. It feels a little bit like a maze. We all know the beautiful massive green hallway with all those doors, and we definitely see the ground foyer leads to the second floor. My biggest question though was, where does the second kitchen staircase leads to? Is it hidden staircase behind closed doors, or does it lead to a bedroom? No one knows for sure. I thought it would make sense to have it isolated behind closed doors, but I'm not certain. As I mentioned earlier, my build ended up being a little larger than in the film, so as usual, I had some extra space in a hidden staircase room. I decided to turn it into one of the girls' bedrooms. Another challenge I faced was that we only saw the parents and Buzz bedroom, so all the other rooms, include Kevin's, are mystery. I have no idea what they were supposed to look like, so I decided to create a simple looking kids' rooms with some toys and old funny looking computers. Now, building the parents' room was a lot of fun because it has so many details. The mom, like many other 90s mom, was into sewing, taking care of gifts, and making sure all the kids were well cared of. As for the dad, he seemed a little bit useless. I'm sorry for saying that, but let's be real. It wasn't clear what the role he played in the family. I'm sure he was the financial provider, and he did try to help the mom a little bit, but he didn't really discipline the kids or stand up for Kevin against his mean uncle. He just seems to be there while the mom was constantly stressed out. And honestly, I completely understand. She had so much on her plate. I can't even imagine juggling 5 kids, so many house guests, and trip during the Christmas season is just insane. Sorry for the detour, but it's interesting to look at the movies from the adult's perspective. So I really love how the parents' room turned out. It has this burgundy red wallpaper with white details, which I tried to replicate. I really wanted a similar wallpaper, so ended up using this one from Vampire Pack. I know it has a little bats on it, but that was the closest I could find, and from distance it doesn't look too vampire-ish, I think. Since the room was filled with clutter and also had a sewing machine, I decided to create a custom one. It's not my original idea. I checked out the gallery for inspiration, and wow, there were so many great designs. I also added plenty of gift boxes and wrapping paper. The room is a bit messy, but that's the charm of it. The next bedroom I created is for 2 boys, Kevin and Jeff. Since Jeff is 4th child and Kevin is the youngest, I figured they do share a room together. Bunk beds were really popular back then, and I'm sure some of the kids share rooms, especially the youngest ones. Jeff seems to be much taller than Kevin, and since he hung out with Buzz a lot, I assume he and Kevin didn't get along very well. The fact that they are sharing a room just adds more tension between them. In general, I feel like the whole family was really mean to Kevin. He didn't do anything wrong. Actually, packing a luggage as an 8-year-old is not an easy task. He was constantly pushed around, and Buzz was especially horrible to him. All the adults were also mean, particularly the uncle, and the parents did absolutely nothing to defend this poor kid. I know it's just a movie and that the meanness was meant to create a conflict, but still, if that were real life, it would be so traumatic for Kevin. I can't even imagine spending an entire night in the attic all alone. Yeah, I feel a lot of sympathy for Kevin. Buzz's room was the coolest and the easiest to recreate because there were several scenes in it. Although my version is slightly smaller, I completely understand why Kevin liked Buzz's room so much. It has all the knickknacks and fun stuff. I too grew up with a younger sister who is 11 years younger than me. She would often get into my room and make a mess, which used to upset me, though not to the level of Buzz felt. My main goal for this room was to recreate that famous shelving unit that Kevin climbed and broke. I realized I forgot to include a spider though. I could have used the spider decorations from the spooky stuff pack, but at least there is a spider terrarium. I also added a gun above his bed frame by merging several items from the Journey to Batu pack. And of course, what kind of boy's bedroom would it be without posters and clutter, right? Now from here it gets a bit complicated. Since there was a lot of space at the back, I decided to create a little U-shaped layout where the rooms would connect with each other. I could have used a private bathroom for Buzz, but I thought it was too luxurious to have a bathroom connected to a child's room, and there was still too much space for it, so I turned it into a guest room instead. I imagined this guest room would be used only occasionally, perhaps during celebrations. From there, the door connects to one of the older daughter's room, probably Megan's, and you can exit through a small home office. I'm not entirely happy with this layout, but honestly, it was the only option. We all saw the scene where Kevin was grounded and had to sleep in the attic, and there were no other doors in that room. Speaking of the attic, I originally planned to add a proper staircase for it. However, when I adjusted the roof, I realized there was no way to include a normal staircase without making the roof look ridiculously large. So let's just pretend there is a staircase anyway. So because the room that leads to the attic doesn't have any other doors, means that you can only access the guest room and Megan's bedroom by walking through Buzz's room or the office. I know it sounds complicated, but you know, I remember that connected rooms were much more common in older houses. I even lived in a house where you do walk from one room to another and sometimes end up walking in circles. It's an interesting concept to explore. Thank you so much for watching and for being so patient with me. I truly appreciate every one of you. I hope you enjoyed this long video with plenty of my commentary. Most importantly, I hope you like the build and find it fun to play in. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't. I welcome all your feedback. Thank you again to all my dear patrons and everyone who's watching. Have a lovely day.